Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Great and Great podcast. Today is our first day that we are recording podcast, and we are going to talk about a lot of sensitive matters. Today, we are also blessed to be sharing this platform with a person that I appreciate so much and I respect so much. He is the CEO of AYVC podcast, which is also running, advocating for youth awareness about purpose, growth, and many things. So I hope you're going to learn a lot from this podcast. We are going to be talking about habits, purpose, and the pressure that youth are facing currently. Welcome so much. You can introduce yourself and we move from there.
My name is Amole John Moses is my name, and most people call me as Uzziah the Great. So most times when you don't see people calling me Amole, people most times call me Uzziah the Great. I'm the founder of the LYVC podcast, the Africa's Young Voices of Change podcast, and we run basically on the terms of personal development, growth mindset, and very many other things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, there are people who are also seeing you for the first time, though you have introduced yourself, they did not know like what to really do, who you are, and what you're currently working upon.
Yeah.
What can you tell them?
So currently I'm the founder of the LYVC podcast, which runs basically in Arua City, West Nile, and we are building something called the LYVC as an idea. Why? Because we feel the LYVC podcast is it runs as a bridge, a gap that is for the young people. It is basically a podcast for the young people. Why did we come up with the idea? Because we found out a problem. And what was the problem? There are a lot of young people who are very, very irrational in the world. Why? Because their mindset has been overcrowded with so many things. Right now, TikTok scrolling has become the order of the day. Like someone can be on TikTok the whole day watching. Then we came up with an idea. In the midst of all the watching, all the moment, why can't we just drop something online? Something somewhere can change someone's life through our podcast and through our voices, and someone young there will see, hey, these guys have something in common with us. What are they speaking about? So they'll start getting interested about what we are saying and start following us and start also having a mental transformation. We only do not have podcasts, we have a series of things. We have mentorship sessions, we have skills development as the Africa's Young Voices of Change.
Okay, thanks so much. That's so interesting. Well, when you talk about mindset growth, especially among the youth, one of the like some of the habits that someone can engage in so as to develop his mind or learn new things. This reading, working out, learning, also learning your craft is something that you feel passionate about.
Sure.
And you're one person who manages to do all these things. You read, you learn, you do podcasts, you're also your spiritual life. You also cultivate it so much. How do you manage to do all these things? Like, what is your realistic approach amidst all these things that you were talking about? This distraction, TikTok, we have so many social media platforms.
Oh, this one basically comes to you as a person. What do you want in your life, basically? So it depends on who you are and what you want in life. I do not want to be an average person. So the way of the average man is just as usual. Every day you want to be there scrolling online. Every time you just want to be normal person. But I want to be this person who's extraordinary. I want to be one step ahead of the average 99. So why do I want to be the average, above the average? Because I feel within me that if you want to conquer great things, then you always have to give great sacrifices. That's why I take my time to read the books. I take my time to schedule my activities. I take my time to learn new skills. I take my time to do my research. I do my homework as a person, because I feel within me as a person, there is always that one thing that someone will always admire from me. So how will I impact the life of someone outside there who has never seen me by just scrolling on TikTok and being a consumer of all other people are creating again? And so that's the thing that gives me motivation every time, like to push forward, to read, to push forward, to do research, to push forward, to mentor people, to push forward, to speak for people. So that is the thing which gives me motivation. I want to be an inspiration for that young person there. I want to be of a different change to that young person. So what is the use of coming into the world? Maybe you go to school, you graduate, you go and work, you get a work, and then you die, you marry, you die. What's the benefit of life? So want to see a different change for the young people, especially give them guidance. One of the things I faced so much, the reason that's why I created the OIVC is because of that gap, like the mentorship gap mostly. From the time I was born up to now, if it was not only for a few people who took interest in me and said, hey, you can make a very good person in the future. Why don't you start something great with your life? Why don't you start doing this? Why don't you start reading books? It's basically because of these people that at least now risen up. And I want to also give a challenge to every young person here to also start something with their life.
Yeah, that's so great. Like, have you written down your goals? Did you write down the things that you want to do with your life, or you just wake up in the morning and start thinking, hey, what can I do today? No, I have to do podcasts, I have to read. Or is there a written to-do list that you follow?
Yeah, I in fact, the first things that I love writing. I'm very good at that area. Like, I really do love it. So before I do something else, I first write. It is one of the things that has in fact given me a lot of things to think about. So before I do anything, I first write it and I picture it before doing it. So even the first time, the first time I started doing the podcast. By the way, the whole dream about the podcast idea was when I was in senior 5. That was around 2023. 2023. So I sat down in class one time around and I wanted to read, but things were not coming. I said, but Amule, you guy, you're very good in public speaking, you're very good in this. Why can't you create something out for people who can see something? So I wrote it down in a book. There's a book of mine, I call it the wisdom book. So I wrote it down in my book. I said, I'm going to do this thing. So after completing my senior 6 in 2024, I sat down again one night and I was thinking, hey buddy, I was going through my books and I said, but I've written this. Why can't I start doing this thing that now I don't have school, I don't have a lot of pressure, so why don't I start doing something with this? So that was how I started doing it. And then I saw a motivation from friends of my age, from the locality, from my own locality. There are people who are not doing what I'm doing, but I found out that people who were outside. I watched a podcast. One small kid of Europe challenged me. Podcast. A guy of around 12 years, he started his podcast, and the podcast has a very, very huge following. A guy of 12 years is discussing national issues.
Things of value.
And I was asking myself, guy, someone of 12 years, a kid of 12 years is doing this, and for you, you're here, 18, 20, 21, and you're here just chilling. So that one gave me a lot of motivation. I started reading books, I started doing this and that. So that was how
you started.
Yeah.
Okay, now talking of that, many youth today, they think about, I am in my youth, so I should experience life. I should do the things. I should go to disco, drink alcohol, engage myself in drugs. These things that peer pressure brings. So this also distracts them from really looking what their purpose is, looking for their purpose or working towards their purpose. Because it is said that a man who does not know his purpose, he distracts himself with what? With a lot of pleasure. That's one thing. So what is your honest take? Like this work-life balance stuff, should it be embraced by us, the youth, or we should try and focus on finding out what our purpose is, what impact do we want to leave behind, what legacy do we want to leave so that people can remember us with?
Yeah, there's this saying that do not eat tomorrow's food today. So most young people tend up to eat tomorrow's food today. So they want to eat the benefits of tomorrow today. And that is one thing that is not okay with most people. People want quick things. You just wake up from, so you feel like maybe you want to go to the disco, you drink yourself off. You can have that pleasure, you can have that moment for a day. But what is the future like to you? Because when you eat tomorrow's food today, which means obviously tomorrow you'll be hungry. The food which you were supposed to eat tomorrow, you have already finished it.
You have not delayed gratification.
So one of the things I can surely talk about is every young person has to find a purpose for him or herself. Then you chase after that purpose. I love the Nigerians, honestly speaking. If there is any country in Africa that challenges me so much, is Nigeria. Why? There are things that those people do which seem very silly, but they find their purpose and joy in it. So you see, a 12-year-old kid has been taught the right way. He's already doing something by him or herself, and he's already living out a life out of it. Why is that? And they develop it so perfectly that they cannot be out-competed in the market. And so that's the thing we face. For when you come around in a locality, go and check a 12-year South Sudanese, go and check a 13-year-old Ugandan, go and check a 15-year-old Kenyan, and see what most of these guys are doing. So you realize that somehow you feel as if maybe we're in the wrong world. You get?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because sometimes when you're just walking around, then you see what other people are doing. Sometimes the person will just say, "I am too bored today. I have nothing to do." Even just in the localities, when you're looking around, you just see people so idle, like you just know that this person does not know what he's doing right now. Now that brings me. Not everyone is like that. There are some ambitious people. There are some people who have already found what they are passionate about. So what do you think like they are doing currently wrong? Though they already know what their purpose is, they are so ambitious. What do you think like it is wrong with them?
Many people want to be an island generation. They want to live on their own, which is not the case. They should find mentors and get people who are very good in their field. So as young people, I surely advise us that there is always someone who has done it ahead of you, someone who's better than you in every craft in your life. So because I'm a podcaster, I founded that a podcast. So I'm now rigid. I am bossy. I feel I'm the biggest.
The confidence has skyrocketed.
So I feel I'm the best and so on. Meanwhile, there is someone who's better than me. We should get mentors. We should get mentors. We should really get mentors and show us the way. If we want to become people who achieve greater things, then we should get great mentors and people who can show us the path.
That really reminds me of two phrases. Like the first one is one of the best quote I've ever got. It was from Mr. Beast. The guy said, if you want to do anything or if you want to grow faster, look for the people who are already in that field doing that thing. For example, if you want to be passing in class, don't hang around with the losers, the backbenchers who are doing nothing, or don't just hang around dating those things. Go and stay with the person that who's already doing what you are doing. As they said, you are the average of the five people that you surround yourself with. These are the people who are going to shape your life, whether you know it or you don't know it. Now that also brings me to another thing. Purpose. Some people, they have found their purpose. As you were talking about the Nigerians here, most of them have embraced media so much. Most of their content, whether it is business, whether it is fitness, whether it is just podcasting, most of them are doing it on what? On media. They have embraced media. Now my question goes to you. Do you think media is already saturated? Like, are there many comedians already? Are there many people who are building their personal brand? Or is there still room for new voices, for new creativity?
I believe that the media is not saturated. People value originality. How original are you in that aspect that you want to do?
Your uniqueness.
Your uniqueness is one of the exceptional things that can never be outcompeted in the world. God has created you with that unique purpose. So even if you do anything in the world, there's always that original version of it that someone else there is going to listen to. And so, assuming I'm going to become a comedian, my comedy is not going to be the same comedy like the way Sibalo is doing his comedy, or like the way Mark Angels are doing their comedy. So there is always an original. The media is never saturated. It depends on what you want to do. How original are you? How creative are you? Can you do something that is mind-blowing, something very exceptional? See what ISO Speed is doing.
Wow. Hey, the guy just traveled Africa and the guy is just everywhere now.
How comes a man just comes all over and starts shouting or running around and doing like some things like that, and someone has over 50 point something million followers on YouTube, and the guy is earning a living out of it? Like, who does that? You see that Charlie Chaplin, you do comedy without, you see, that is the originality I'm talking about. What is that purpose you can find for yourself? Like, it's not that everyone is meant to be a doctor. Maybe my life is, maybe I want to become a doctor, I want to become a lawyer, and so on. There is always that originality in you. I want to give you, for instance, the example of this guy called Dr. Hilary Okello, a very profound comedian here in Uganda. That guy is a doctor, a professional doctor. But where is his purpose? He has found his purpose in comedy. You see that? So
creativity, authenticity is something which really wins. Now you were talking about Nigeria being one of the countries in Africa doing a lot of things. Also, when you look at South Africa, even Kenya, like some days back, it was the Grammy. Even though these Nigerians, they are so talented, even other people, they're using their creativity. Look at Taylor. She won the Grammy. Yet there are big names in Nigeria. Now that brings me to this thing of comparison. Like, when you look ahead to the people who have done it, who are in a better position than you right now, how do you deal with that comparison, both mentally and emotionally, especially among our youth? how can you advise people to deal with it? How do you do it?
Okay, life is not all about competition. If someone is ahead of you, embrace it as an African, as a young person, and then see from the footsteps of that person.
You learn from them,
You learn from them, not competing from them. There's a saying, I think one of the sayings that has always encouraged me is that when you find someone who is wiser than you, make that person your friend and learn from that person. Do not compete. What are you competing for? You have a different race that you're running for, and that person has a different race that he or she is running for in life. Because God has initially made us with different purposes. You may succeed first. Why should you succeed first? Maybe because I have to learn from you, because you have already succeeded. So that is how it is. So it's competition. Competition is good, but there is always that meaningless competition. Yeah. So there is that aspect that does not make sense when you compete, like you want to be better than someone. What for? That person is running a different race.
The person might be in his stage 9 before you're still in stage 3. So it is just pointless. Just accept your uniqueness. No, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Now that also brings me to like skills that we need to nurture. Like these skills that work in all domains or in all fields. Things like communication, things like leadership, even writing skill. How do you articulate your words? Like, do you think it is very important for the youth to embrace these things, public speaking? Do you think it is very important for us to learn and cultivate these skills?
Skills are one of the most fundamental things that a young person should have. So without a skill in certain aspect in life, what even the scripture says that a man with skills can be in position to sit in front of a king. Assuming you go to the president, you go and meet Donald Trump. What are you going to discuss with him? You don't have any skill. What are you going to talk to him about? You don't know how to communicate. What are you going to talk to him about? So which means if you want to go in front of greatness, then there has to be something you have to give in order to attain that position of greatness. So you cannot be in position of greatness without having a skill that is very unique, something that you've really taken time to craft it and do it exceptionally. Ronaldo can be in position to go to Donald Trump and they have a conversation. Why?
Even Messi,
because they are very exceptional in whatever they are doing. So that is the skill they have gotten into. So as a young person, as a youth, then there is no excuse. If you are not great or if you are not somewhere there, it's because you have a problem somewhere. And what is that problem? You have a lack of skill. Embrace communication, something you can learn. Go and learn something exceptional. Some communication is one. Public speaking and many others.
What you are saying, even if you are good at football in other fields, but that communication skills, because one day you'll meet these people like Donald Trump, these presidents, you will have to communicate with them. So if there is something that you should take away from this podcast today, it should be you have to embrace public speaking, communication, and leadership skill.
Generally, they should embrace learning. Learn something new. Learn something new. What does Stephen Bartlett say? Stephen Bartlett says in his book, The Diary of a CEO, that you can become a very great person if you change yourself by 1% every day. So by the end of 365 days in a year, when you do something, maybe you read a page or 2 pages every day, just a page or even 2 pages every day when you want to read. So by the end of a whole year, you'll realize that you have become even a very better person than the following, the previous year. So it's all about embracing and learning a new skill. Or you can say, this year I want to do, there's this guy, I follow him, a Nigerian podcaster, he's called Oloshala. So Oloshala once said, when you want to do something very, very great, like the greatest things people have done, they are not very complex. They're just very simple
things. But they have done it for a long time.
Very good.
Consistency.
So that is it.
Now that also brings me to this thing of purpose. This thing, A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Like this guy, he was so confused, like a lot of terrible things were happening. Like this book that I'm currently reading, Ikigai. It's all about finding your ikigai. What do you enjoy doing? How can you monetize it?
Yeah.
How can you do it for free? If like today these things they don't pay you for it, can you do it for a long time? Now that brings me to purpose. Do you think purpose is something that when you're born, like the first day, now I know my purpose, I'm going to become a footballer, I'm going to become a public speaker, I'm going to do this? Or is it something that you have to learn, you have to cultivate?
Purpose is something that you cultivate actually. There's this guy called there's this podcast, Train of Thought. There was a time they asked this guy a question. Like the guy, he was questioned. He is also a podcaster. They asked him a question that for me, I want to do let me say engineering, but I realized that I'm also good in journalism. But I also realized that somehow I am very good in medicine. So the person was basically confused of what he or she wanted in life. But then this was the response, okay? There's always that one thing you always find joy in doing. Like for me, even if you call me to go and speak out to people for free, I will go and give my time and speak out to people for free. Why? Because I find joy in doing it.
It's very easy.
Yeah. So when I realized that I'm in fact very good at speaking, and then I find real joy in speaking, and then I realized that hey, this thing here is one of the things that is always within me. So that's how I realized that I was actually very good at public speaking. So I started taking it seriously. So I started cultivating it. So you realize it and then cultivating it. I could ask people each time I go and maybe speak to people, I ask for reviews. What are they saying? Yeah, feedback. So people say, by the way, God, you're good at this thing you're doing. Why can't you add some little bit of skill here and there? So I started reading now books on public speaking. How do I become a people magnet? That is one of the books also I recommend if someone wants to be a public speaker. How to become a people magnet. Like how to influence people in the 21st century world, a world where media is so much. So that is one of the things I've been doing. So I believe that purpose is being cultivated. You find it by exploring very many things. It is, as a young person, you should do that. You explore very many things and see where you can learn.
That also brings me, it reminds me of this favorite guy, my favorite mentor or role model that I follow him. He's a Nigerian called Okochukwu Omiago. This guy has polio. Like when the guy was just born, 1 year and 6 months, the guy got polio. And out of that, when his brothers could go to school, his parent could refuse that the guy should not go to school. The guy could just go there and stand at the gate and wait for them until evening. Now this guy has become an expert on what? On wealth creation, how to amass wealth. And one of the favorite stories that I like from him, like the richest man in Africa now is Dangote. And the guy said this: if you pick the son of Dangote at a very young age, then you take him to the poorest man in Africa. Let that child go and stay with this poorest man. And the son of this poorest man go and stay with the Dangote. What will happen when they grow up? You will find that the son of this poorest man has become a millionaire. Why? Because the guy grew up around people and he knew what he wanted. Dangote helped him to open the way. But the son of Dangote with this poorest man does not know anything. That means purpose is something that has to be created. Sometimes you live in an environment which does not have other things. There are some villages, they don't have computer. But if you are to take that computer to that village, there's going to be that one child who is going to love that computer. Why? It is exposure. They say environment really exposes us so much. Now that also brings me, to become expert at something, you need some traits. So what are the traits that you think people need to harness? Is it discipline? Is it consistency? Or is it indiscipline, doing what you want, what your friends want? Or you have to work on that discipline and consistency? Or maybe other factors also that you think they are very essential for someone to become expert in any field?
I believe for you to become an expert in everything, by the way, discipline is a very, very key thing in this world. So if you get all these great people, let me mention for you a few. I was recently doing a research on the great Africans who might be top leaders. For example, Nelson Mandela. I asked myself one time, how does a man get an idea and live to die for that idea? You see that? what changed about this young man that he was a very young man? What changed about him that he even had to say with a group of his friends? By the association is key. Association is very, very key. They formed what you call the African, the ANC, something like that. So Nelson Mandela and the group had a certain kind of discipline that even if they are willing to do anything to them, they were ready to
perish,
die. I perish. If I die, I die. So I read about Nelson Mandela, and then one of the moments that reached in his life was the time they said there are two sentences. One, life imprisonment. In fact, the first one was death. They sentenced you to death. So they went and told, the lawyers went to those of Nelson Mandela and told them, guys, this is now our fate after the whole court session was done. Number one case, for all these things you have been doing, number one is death sentence. Number two is life imprisonment.
27 years.
27. The lawyers asked him, do you think we can withdraw this thing or something like that? Those guys kept saying no. We die. If we die, we die. If we live, we live. As a group. That was the kind of discipline. I asked myself, how do I make myself to get to that kind of discipline? And so to achieve anything, to be good at anything, if you live consistency here, how disciplined are you to yet say I'm a public speaker and I'm willing to discipline myself and do it?
When you don't feel like doing it. Because that's what courage is. When you don't feel like doing something and you do it, now you are courageous. And this issue of Nelson Mandela, I think it is very also important for us, the youth of Africa today, to take time and learn about the history of our continent. Who are those prominent people? Who are the people who brought change? Because I remember one of the emotional moments that I've ever had in my life was in P7 when they were talking about Nelson Mandela. How the guy took 27 years in prison. Like, no light, what. Even when the guy came back, the people who were punishing him, the guy called them, they sit around the same table. The guy greeted them. Even the guy who was facilitating this thing of appetite policy, he was his vice president. So it is very important to do the right thing. That's what discipline is all about. Doing what you need to do, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. Now that also brings me to our last topic. Like, what advice can you give to that youth who feel today like he does not know what to do? He feels so bored, he feels so lost. It feels like now his time is up on this earth, so he's just waiting for his end time. Like, what advice can we give them as they're navigating this, as they are navigating like their purpose now? They are very confused, they're at crossroads.
But the one advice I can give every young person out there is that, by the way, the world is very harsh to people who don't have ideas. There's this guy called Miles Monroe, one of the greatest writers and preachers of all time. Miles Monroe once said that the greatest place with the lots of riches in the world is not the goldfields of Congo, but it is the graveyard. Why? Because in the graveyard there are very many dreams that were not fulfilled. There are very many books that were not written. There are very many songs that were not sung out. Like, a lot of things have gone to the graveyard without them being identified out. So one advice I can give to every young person here is, let them die empty, as Miles Monroe said. Die empty by exploring whatever thing that you feel is inside you and start doing that thing. I felt like I should do a podcast. I felt like I should have an organization, a podcast. I started it. And then now it is growing, and it will also grow better. And because of starting, I've also inspired other people who felt like they wanted to start something but they did not.
I'm one of them. I'm doing this today because of them. I'm one of them. Thank you so much for you.
So find out something that you feel you're very passionate about and start doing it. Die empty. That is the thing I can give to every young person there. Are you passionate about cleaning people's compounds? Why don't you start and clean for free? And then the next time maybe they will see interest and say, hey, this guy is doing something. Why don't you reward his value? And so from there it starts to grow. That's how things are. That's why the greatest things are not very complex. It's you don't want to be like maybe Elon Musk. You want to start making rockets and so. No, start small. Start something and build on that idea. So I think that's the thing I can say to every young person there.
I think that makes me so emotional because I've been there. You have been there. Like sometimes you feel that thing itching you. But one thing that I've come to realize is most of our youth, we are fearing a lot.
Yeah.
We are fearing what our friends are going to say. We are fearing what our relatives will say. My father said I should become a doctor. My mother said I should become a nurse. I should become a lawyer. But when you continue to explore things, when you continue to see like the environment that you're living in, it is something, it attracts you. But you don't have the balls, you don't have that courage so as to pursue it. Like you're really fearing. Like that's one thing. But one thing that the listener can take today, all these people, they fear. But one thing that has set them apart is they had that courage.
Yeah.
They had that thought, then they just started. Because when you have a thought for a very, very long time, it starts to eat you. You know, this thing is energy.
Yeah.
The energy that you have used to get that thing started, like you have used it all in what? Mental energy to just think about it. So my advice is, if you have that thought, if you have that thing that is itching you, please just start. Break that ice and just keep going. That's the only way you can grow. Elon Musk started his in the garage. Steve Jobs, they started in the garage. No one, it was only one money, whatever that they were doing. So thank you so much for doing this with me. I am so happy that I'm going to sleep well because I've really done it. Like, it is true. The people you hang around with, just start. At first, I did not know this guy. We met online because of the simple things I was doing on Facebook, and here I am now living my dream, and you can see it on my face. I am so happy. Like, this is one of the happiest days of my life. This is just the beginning. We have a long way to go, and I wish the 500 episode you will be my guest. The 500 episode is going to be my guest, and shall come back and listen to this. So before you go now, what's that one advice that you can give me or to the listener that is listening, who took his time to listen to this?
Every dream starts with a dreamer. I read that from one of the mentors I have from Kenya called Benny Walubengo. He wrote a book called The 360 Seconds of Destiny. So in the 360 Seconds of Destiny,
I think he's a public speaker, right?
Yeah. I Speak Society. He writes something that every dream starts with the dreamer. How bold is the dreamer? How audacious is the dreamer? How courageous can the dreamer move to certain efforts in life? So one thing I can surely give you and every other person listening is that every dream starts with the dreamer. So if the dreamer is lazy, the dream obviously becomes lazy. If the dreamer is not that bold, it means the dream becomes lousy. If the dreamer is an average person, the dreams becomes an average dream. So if you want to achieve something greater and greater, then you have to be a dreamer who is bold and audacious. How sure and how bold are you going to dare things? How are you going to dare things that you feel are very undareable? So that is the thing. So dare the undareables.
That's so true, because yesterday I was watching this, one of my role models. They were for podcast, and one thing he said to his friend, they were sitting face to face like this. The guy said to his friend, "You are richer than me, you are more wealthy than me." Then the friend asked him why. The guy's reply just startled me, it made me numb. The guy said, "I did not dream enough. I did not dream big enough." Like, that thing just gave me, like, you need to have that big dream. It sounds unreasonable, sounds unrealistic, but just have that picture and see what it will take out of you. How will it pull you towards that dream? So thank you so much, guys, who have been listening. Thank you so much. This is the end of our episode. So please make sure you subscribe, and also go to AYVC podcast. You subscribe, the link is in the bio below. So thank you so much. We meet again.